This elm tree here will show us today how to turn a vision into reality. Because here's what's happened to many visions. They start with fire and they end up in the to-do list graveyard. In this episode, we'll show you a practical way to bring structure into that overwhelm and why a tree can help you hold it without getting lost.
We are Jutta and Boris from Visionautic Academy, and we help leaders move from functioning to creating, from keeping things running to shaping what matters.
For a moment you can see it. You see how your work, your product, maybe even your whole organization could be different. Your head fills with images. You feel the pull. You think, yes, this is worth going for.
And then you start trying to make it real, and suddenly 100 questions appear. What exactly are we trying to create? Where do we start? Who needs to be involved? What if this part changes? And what about the finances? What felt exciting a moment ago quickly feels overwhelming.
And then Monday morning happens. Emails, meetings, decisions, problems that need an answer now. The urgent takes over, and your vision still sitting there, waiting, while you're back to functioning instead of creating.
And however draining that everyday work can be, it has one big advantage over your vision. It already has a structure. You know what needs to happen next.
Well, your vision doesn't have that structure yet. And there's a good portion of uncertainty that comes with it. So when both compete for your attention, it's hardly surprising that the existing work often wins. That's one of the ways we end up functioning instead of creating.
And that's where this tree comes in. When you look at this tree, it's incredibly complex. There are roots, there's a trunk, there are major branches, smaller branches, and leaves. But it isn't chaotic. And everything has its place, its function, and everything is connected. That's why a tree is such a useful image for working with vision.
Today, we like to share a method with you that we've been using with our participants for many years because we find it extraordinarily helpful. We call it the project tree. The basic idea is quite simple. In the middle, you have one trunk. That's the project or the vision you want to bring into the world.
Below the trunk are several roots. They represent the different reasons why this project matters to you. The values you want to express, the needs you want to respond to, the deeper intentions that give the whole project meaning.
And above the trunk, the tree starts branching out. Usually there are several major objectives that need to develop for the vision to become real. Those become the larger branches.
And each branch can split again into smaller objectives, work streams, or steps.
Eventually, you arrive at the leaves, the concrete actions and tasks. So instead of forcing your vision into one long linear plan, you create a structure that branches out in both directions from one central vision.
And when I start placing all those ideas and questions and tasks into this structure, that's a surprisingly big relief for me. I can say, okay, these 3 tasks actually belong to the same branch. Or this idea isn't in action at all. It belongs on the level of our objectives. And this question down here is much more fundamental. Before we make another plan, we need to understand why this really matters to us.
And once you start doing that, the tree becomes more than just a way of organizing what you already know. You begin to see connections. You notice that one branch is full of actions, while another important part of the vision has no concrete steps at all. You discover gaps. Or you realize that you've been pursuing one route as if it were the only possible one. And suddenly you can see another branch. The structure itself helps you think. It creates coherence, shows you what's missing, and can open up alternatives you hadn't seen before.
Once you have the structure, you can move through it using two very simple questions: how and why.
How takes you up the tree? You start with the vision in the trunk and ask, how do we make this real? Let's make this concrete with an example. Let's say you're responsible for product development in a company that has been making household appliances for decades. You see a new market emerging around products that last longer, are easier to repair, and can be upgraded instead of replaced. Your company isn't in that market yet, but you see the potential and you think, we need to get a foot in the door of this future market. That's your vision, the trunk. One important branch could be a new generation of repairable modular appliances. Instead of redesigning our entire product range at once, we could begin with one appliance, let's say a coffee machine, and build a prototype around that. We develop it with a small team, test it with real customers, and learn from what happens. I need the board to approve the pilot budget. Tonight, I still have to finish that PowerPoint presentation.
Why takes you in the opposite direction?
It's already past midnight. I had my third coffee and my second Club Mate. I've changed slide 27 again. I'm wondering whether the board is going to think the whole idea is completely crazy.
Oh, brilliant.
And at some point, I stare at the screen and think, why am I doing this to myself? Because I want approval to develop and test the coffee machine prototype. Because it's our first real step towards a new generation of repairable appliances. Because I see an opportunity to build a meaningful part of our future around products that actually last. Because I don't want to spend my working life creating products that end up destroying the planet I care about. Now I'm back at the roots. The presentation hasn't become less difficult. And I still don't know whether they will say yes tomorrow. But I know why I'm taking the risk.
And that is a very different place to act from.
And the tree can also reveal something else. Most of us have a preference. Some people are very comfortable up here. They hear an idea and immediately say, great, let's do it. What do we do? Who do we call? What's the first step? And that can create tremendous momentum.
But without enough roots underneath it, sooner or later the question comes up, why are we actually doing this? What are we trying to make possible? And if there isn't a convincing answer, a lot of that initial energy can disappear very quickly.
Other people are much more comfortable down here. They can talk deeply about purpose, values, what's wrong with the current system, what a better world could look like. They have strong roots. but sometimes almost no branches
And no leaves.
and no action.
Exactly. Neither side is wrong. We need both.
For leaders, there's another important dimension to this. Because once you have some clarity about these different levels, it becomes much easier for other people to find their way into your vision.
And people can agree very strongly on the why and still have quite different ideas about the how. In fact, that's often healthy. If you've made the deeper intention clear, other people are not limited to just executing your solution. They can find better ways of making that intention real.
Someone else can take ownership for an entire branch, not just execute individual leaves you hand to them. They know what this branch is meant to contribute to the larger vision. So they have room to shape the how themselves.
To start, you don't need to have a clear vision yet. You don't need the whole tree figured out. Just that one thought you keep coming back to. An idea, a longing, a sense that something could be different in your business or in your private life.
And by the way, you don't have to build the whole tree in one sitting. That's actually one of the things we like about working this way. You can leave the tree somewhere where you see it and have an overview. And the next time you have 10 minutes over coffee in your lunch break between two meetings, you can look at it and immediately find your way back in. Maybe you add another root, maybe a new branch appears, or a new question. Maybe one question suddenly has an answer.
So here's my question for you today. What's the one vision you keep coming back to but haven't started yet? Drop it in the comments. Let's see what visions grow here.
And if you want to map your own project tree, you don't need a fully developed vision to start, just the longing. We've created a simple template you can download for free. Link in the description. Start growing your tree today. Let's see what visions will grow.